I've made a small oil painting, and today I want to show you how I resculpt that with a knife in just a few moves. All the paint is wet from my first painting session, and you can check that out here. Getting out your palette knife for oil painting is a great way to learn more about the paint application process. So a good way to kind of get back in the creative control for oil painting is to scrape off most of the piled on paint. This way, if your values need to be restated or you want to do different things with color, you can get a lot of variety with texture, with taking the paint off and actually adding it back on. So instead of being a mistake, this becomes part of the painting process. To make the original painting, I just used a limited palette, which consists of 3 primary colors of yellow, blue, and red. Let's go to the easel and take a look. You can also use any palette knife. You don't need a special number. I like the more triangular shape, and I like to have a sharper tip, but there's all different types. So maybe pick up a few and give them a try. Now we're going to get out our equipment and look at our project on how we can start playing with paint with the knife. Well, the early part of the painting had a lot of potential, but then I just got a lot of paint applied to the surface. And so a favorite method of mine is to see what is happening on the panel and then scrape and restate. And that is the next step that is going to happen. And the whole point of this YouTube video, which is scraping a painting, can actually make it a better painting because you clarify the intent, you get to play with the paint, and also the act of just moving all of that mass around just makes these little micro bits of paint that add visual interest. I will often do this in the field where I have made a painting and you can see how I'm holding the knife down at like a low angle, and to scrape on the painting can feel, especially for beginners, like a big challenge. How could you undo all of the painting that you had just created? There's this tendency to save everything or keep that as fresh, and maybe you're worried about not preserving some of the brush strokes. But this painting is just an experiment, and by adding extra paint to it, I get to add the paint layers, and I would say this is some of the most fun mark making that you can have with your painting. In the series of moves that are going to be occurring next in the demo, you can see I'm using the tip to kind of blend and smooth together some of the masses of the sky and the far plane. And plus I'm adding onto the tip of the knife some notes where I could add to the texture of the hillside. Thick paint is exciting to view. Adding these dots in unexpected ways with the trowel of the knife is a way for the viewer to experience the texture that you want to say about the landscape. And when you're merging the color together on your small field study or a larger painting, there's a gutsiness that happens with the knife and applying the paint that could be either playful or impressionistic, and clients do appreciate that. I usually use the knife on pretty much every painting that I create, and I enjoyed creating this demo because I thought I do get a lot of questions from students about how to use the knife, and it's pretty easy with thinking about how to apply the paint, but it does take a little practice. So find the knife shape that works best for you. I am thinking about the form of the field. I like to add some of the texture in the foreground. Now I'm going to apply some of the flowers that are happening. And this pretty much wraps up the demo. I just want to encourage people to play with this because I think it's a really fun way to learn, and you have to practice with the knife in order to understand how to use it. Thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel today. I sure appreciate you being here and liking and subscribing. To work with a knife, it's really easy to keep it super simple, and just remember, it's like buttering a piece of toast or frosting a cake. More color doesn't mean more options. Sometimes you can actually do more with a limited color palette. So scraping and restating is always a good thing and not a mistake or a big mystery. Play around with it and give it a try. So until next time, happy painting, everybody.